5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Level up, 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 level up. All this on me so yummy, all this sauce so yummy. Know you want this yummy, yummy all in your tummy. Them old mistakes are gone, I won't do them no more. That's old news, there's new news, I done did that before. I just keep elevating, no losses, just upgrading. I'm chilling, I'm winning, like on another level. Oh, you can talk all you want. See me as a prayer, nothing I'm afraid of, and I can have it all.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let go! Level up, 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 level up. All this on me so yummy, all this sauce so yummy. Know you want this yummy, yummy all in your tummy.
All right. Hey, everyone. This is Diamond Rivera of the Live Discussions with Diamond podcast. And we have a very special episode tonight. But before we get started, everyone, I want you to know that this episode is sponsored by Dubakshata Radio, where you can listen to this interview live in high quality. As well, Dubakshata Radio now has live discussions with Diamond merchandise. You can get your t-shirts, your hats, your stickers, and more. Definitely please check it out as well. You can catch this interview right now on Facebook, YouTube, and other streaming platforms as well. And tonight, people, we have a very, very special guest, a person I consider a very dear friend from my first travels all the way to the Dallas Bachata Festival. We have here tonight the one and only Miss Brianna Williams.
Hey.
Hey, Brianna, honestly, thank you so much for coming on tonight. Just want to let you know about, even before we get started, I love that video that I just posted from Mr. Davin Wilson from DWE Productions. The way he put together that minute clip of you was amazing.
Oh, I love it. Working with super chill and cool, and the idea that I gave, he knew what to do and knew the angles and was able to get that vibe I was wanting. So yeah, shout out to Davin Wilson. You go, you using things. Wow, thank you.
Absolutely. And, you know, definitely having you on this platform, I've told you also privately that I've wanted this for a while, because meeting you, I believe around 2017, 2018, I believe around that time, you were one of the people for me, especially in Dallas, who was just so welcoming, heartwarming, coming from New York City, coming to film. I felt in the beginning, maybe I should just think of this as just a job, coming and filming, but it was people like you from the Texas community that really embraced me. And now having this platform I have to celebrate you, celebrate your success, and have people understand who Brianna is, besides what you do on the dance floor, means the world.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be in your platform. I was able to watch definitely a lot of your earlier videos and some of the more recent ones here and there with, you know, my schedule and everything. So it's to be asked to come to this is a privilege, and I don't take it for granted. Just know that.
No worries at all. And at least too, I think definitely tonight as we talk, we'll get a better understanding of who Brianna Williams is. Many people have just seen you perform over the years at different congresses, festivals, and events, even collaborating with other artists. But I think it's so much more important that people get to know who the person is, because I think what we do on a stage, everything else gets lost in translation. So having this opportunity to just celebrate you for these few moments is definitely well needed. And two, as well, I think we can definitely see what also you would have in the future and the horizon, because especially during this pandemic, things have just been really wacky. So before we get started, I'd love to know, how have you been during this crazy time?
You know, I was thinking about that even back towards the end of the year. I think I'm handling it better than most people are, especially when it comes to mental health. just because I was able to keep myself busy as well. It just so happened around that time when we started going on lockdown, because Texas
Mhm.
didn't really lock down. I
Yeah.
was getting ready. I was getting ready for a dance event that I was taking with the team that I worked at the dance studio, and there was a lot of stuff going on, and I was just like really, really tired, and it started affecting my health. But then that weekend of the event, it was canceled, so kind of like a forced break. And then even that same week, the studio owner was like, you know what, we are closing the studio until further notice, so stay
Mhm.
safe, don't go out and stuff like that. So I was at a forced rest pretty much for the beginning of the quarantine. So I slept like 10 hours almost every day for like the first 3 weeks. And I was like, okay, I feel rested, I'm okay. And then also, I think as much as I love meeting people and, socializing with people, I'm used to being by myself. You know,
Mhm.
when I was younger, I really didn't have a lot of friends. And it was kind of an interesting situation growing up. So I ended up being by myself, reading books, doing puzzles, dancing, so I was able to comfortable with being by myself or being with my family, because I'm here with my parents and brother, kind of helping out and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was able to still have that socialization just because I had people in the house. And then
Mhm.
I'm just so used to being by myself. It was just like going back to my comfort zone. I did have times where I'm like, man, I really want to go out and dance and stuff. So sometimes I'll go outside and I'll just dance in my yard. I did a dance in the day of May, which is like I posted like myself a video every
Yep.
day of May. It was part of this I was doing, which was really cool. Um, but yeah, I think most for the most part, I was doing okay, and you know, got to reconnect with people through Zoom and doing all these other online platforms. I got back into like solo dancing, like doing contemporary and training in that and Afro, and then even practicing like my technique and my styling for salsa and bachata as well. So I try to utilize that time for self development and growth as well.
Wow. I mean, and realizing, like you talked about mental health, realizing, especially during this quarantine period, even that we're still in a sense, that many people, especially the artists that we've known over the years, we see them at events and realize this. Many people use these events, festivals, congresses as an escape from your reality.
Hmm.
So realizing that's being taken away and you have to, within yourself, find a new outlet, it's really hard. It's also too hard for many artists to stay consistent and relevant with their content. So some of the artists, and I can say in my personal opinion, some artists that I've seen maybe from 2 years ago, I don't even know what they're doing now. And realizing some
Hmm.
people have taken this time to take a step back, to understand what's really important for them, because people don't understand the dance life of traveling. It's fun. You get to inspire people, you get to network, but it can also be mentally and physically and emotionally draining because, like you
Hmm.
said, most people think as dancers, we're just social butterflies. It can seem that way at times, but a lot of us are really more introverted. We like to have the comfort of ourselves. So, hearing your honesty and transparency is amazing. And now, before we get really started into things, just letting you know throughout our time talking tonight, we'll occasionally have some live comments coming in. For example, our boy here, Mr. Edwin Ferreras, saying, I see you, sis, solo dancing. Yes, Brianna
Hey,
as well, all the way from DC, Miss Teresa.
hey, my family's coming in. That's amazing.
Absolutely. So, Brianna, I would love for you kind of to take us on a journey into what life was like for you before getting into dance, and then kind of how that dance journey started.
So the interesting thing is that dance has been part of my life ever since I could walk. I From the earliest memory that I have, I remember I was a mover. I didn't start training in dance until I was 4 turning 5 years old because my birthday was in September, so it was right when the school started. So technically, I was considered 5 at that time. And I remember starting off as in the tap combination classes that you put like 3, 4, 5 year olds in. So that was my first taste of actually training in dance. And so ballet is actually my absolute favorite because it provided the foundation of my dancing. Um, and I did that for about 12 years. And within that, I did jazz, I did hip hop, I did modern. I actually had the opportunity of doing the Russian Nutcracker with the Moscow Ballet that would come to Dallas. So I did that one year. That was pretty interesting. And man, seeing men in tights at that age was pretty.
It
It
was
kind
different.
it was different. I was like, what's going on? But anyway, it was really interesting experience there. And then it was natural too. I automatically felt drawn to move when I'm extremely happy, when I'm sad, when I'm angry. So it was something that I could easily fall back into, make me feel better. And in high school, I was in the dance program and I was in drill team. So I got that precision military style palm routine. So, I was trying to do anything and everything. I was into Bollywood a little bit. Can't ask me to do anything now because I don't remember a lot of things, but that was a pretty cool experience there. Uh, and then it wasn't until I went to Boston for college and a friend from high school invited me to Texas Latin organization meeting. And that was where I had my first taste of like salsa, bachata, merengue, cha. And oh my gosh, I love this. At that time, I had surgery for my illness, Crohn's disease, which is an autoimmune digestive disease, wreak a whole bunch of havoc. I was still regaining my strength from that. So doing ballet didn't seem like it was the good thing to do at the time, but salsa and bachata seemed like with me to keep dancing my life. And so I went to every meeting. I was on a performance team. The next year, I ended up becoming president of that organization. So it was an interesting. And then that year, I went to the first dance festival, which was the salsa was in 2014. And
Mhm.
I remember going to that festival, and I was like, I belong here. Like
Mm.
I don't know how, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I belong. I love to train with so many amazing instructors and teams and from all around the world. It was like I want to connect with so many different cultures and have connections with people all over the world. But it was at that time I was like, I need to step up my game. I need this technique. I even started doing a little bit of the ballet that I could remember as far as just to keep the strengthening and everything. And then later on that year, that was when I went to the Dallas Bachata Festival for the first time in 2018. And that was Manga and Lola. They were the first. It kind of introduced me to Afro. So
Mm.
that was an interesting experience there. And then it was from Dallas Bachata Festival and the hospitality of Jorge Elizondo. It was like, okay, Dallas Bachata Festival, go-to festival every year, just because,
Yeah.
not only because it's practically in my backyard, but just the welcoming that I felt within that community at the time. Okay, this is definitely a must. And from uh, went up. So, and I think I went into the dance and I just kind of went past your question. So I apologize for that.
No, not a
But yeah,
problem.
but yeah, been part of my life all the time. I just remember being at like family gatherings and music will be on and I busted move just for no reason. I think there was a story one time. I think I was like 9 and I was dancing, and it was like a Super Bowl party, and
Mm.
there were other people there, and there was this little boy that asked me to dance, and then I turned him down. And I
Oh,
remember this. I don't remember at all, but I think I was on groove, and I was just like, no. So it was, yeah. I get lost in dancing to where sometimes I don't even know what's going on in my surroundings because I'm just so into craft, because it's not just about, oh, I want to do showcase my move, but it's about getting in touch with my artistic self, because to me, I think it is a gift from the whole, and that's, my idea for it. So it's my way of honoring myself and honoring God and the universe with the talent that's been bestowed upon me much.
wow. And realizing, especially hearing your story, understanding kind of the timeline of it. Like you said, dance has always been in your life, and there were moments, glimpses of when things were just growing from you learning ballet at a younger age. And I've heard that a lot with many dancers, especially many of them being classically trained in terms of with ballet, and then kind of transitioning into other styles and realizing many people who go to these like salsa or bachata type events or dance festival events, it usually kind of is that epiphany, that life changing moment that kind of makes you say, wow, this is the place that I need to be. Because most people think it's just the clubs that we have in our cities, and that's all there is. But we realize too, there's a way big difference between the club scene and the dance scene. Almost, I think,
Mm,
totally different. So realizing that you had those moments, like you said, in 2014, and then also going to the Dallas Bachata Festival after working with people like Mr. Benga, as well as the late Lola Monet, and having those people kind of be those initial influences to you. What were those experiences like going to the Dallas Bachata Festival and kind of working with these two?
hmm So I'll start off with Benga just because that was a a funny situation there. So I remember I got to the Dallas Bachata Festival Thursday
Mm.
night, like the pre-party. And
Yeah.
I like to people watch when they're dancing because I want to feel like their energy and everything. And
Yes.
I remember I was looking at Benga dancing, and like I could tell he was just doing something different. Like it didn't seem like it was bachata because he was adding his own flavor to it. If for those who know him doing that, and I caught myself like staring at him, and I tried not to, but it was just so different. And then
Mm-hmm.
I ended up taking class, and I forgot the name of this class. It wasn't he's something else.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then he asked a question as far as who likes cha cha cha, because cha 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 is actually my favorite partner dance out of all the partner dances. So I raised my hand, and he's like, "I remember you. You're the one that was staring me all night on Thursday." And I was just okay. I should probably go now. So that was my to him. And then we had a dance some throughout the night, throughout the weekend, and then we connected and became friends. And then that same weekend, that was when I saw Lola Monet perform for the first time, and it was Afro. And I will admit, the first time I'm like, bachata, I don't know. But I saw
Mm-hmm.
her perform, and I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I felt that energy. I was just like, clean.
Mm-hmm.
My God, like I need to get to know her. So I was able to, me super laid back,
Mm-hmm.
friendly. And then I went to Los Angeles Bachata Fest February. That was my first time going to LA in 2015.
Yeah.
And I ended up reconnecting with her as well, along with a few other people from, because a lot of people from Los Angeles were coming to the Dallas Festival. I found out, which found it interesting. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, I was able to connect with her, and then Benga was there too, and a lot of other people. But that was when kind of Lola and I really kind of connected more. And then the following August, that was when she messaged me about her dance company that she was forming, Rhythm and Beats Dance. And
Mhm.
she asked me if I wanted to be part of it for the Dallas Bachata Festival. The way she framed it, I thought it was going to be a one-time thing, and I was like, I'm willing to do it. I'm going to train with her.
Yeah.
And so, being the only person from Dallas at the time, that's having like Skype practices because Skype was like I
Mm.
was the first one to actually start doing, video call practices. Probably not much, but at least the first in Dallas area, because I don't think anybody else that I talked to in Dallas was doing that at the time. And so it was an interesting challenge, but I think that itself helped me as develop as a dancer, the technique and detail. And I remember performing with Lola first time. It was really cool, really amazing. And she was also the one that really helped to um, gain a better understanding what it meant to be an artist. Because she
Mhm.
didn't just tell me, oh, yeah, travel here, get to travel there. She's like, oh, no, it's not just about that. It's a contract. It's about a certain time frame. You have to do this and that. So she
Mhm.
really, gave me, the business, what does it really mean to be a traveling artist, which I really appreciated her for that. She was also the one who really prompted me and encouraged me to choreograph for solo. And she was a big support when I was going through the issue with the last time I went to LA, the LA Summer Bachata Festival, and the assault rape situation that there.
Mhm.
So she was we connected, not just dance level, but in a soul level as well.
Yeah.
Because at point we realized that we were kind of fusing with each other. There was some of me and her, some of her and me, and we were learning from each other. And so having connection really helped me with my confidence in dancing, with my confidence in myself and within the dance scene. And it helped me to realize that, there's so much going on in the dance scene. It can be cliquish here and there, but I
Mhm.
know what my intentions are when I go out there and dance. That's not going to stay. Whatever drama, click issues going on, it's going to bother me because I know why I'm going here, why I'm dancing. And, she helped to reinforce that with me. I owe a lot to her, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always certain people that come into our lives for a specific reason. The people we meet, maybe at an event or at a social, but there are very few people in our lives that come in and can help shape us and mold us and teach us about the world we're living in. Like in the dance world, many people think it's just an easy life of just traveling and performing, but there's so much that goes into it, especially because I think people need to realize this is a business at the end of the
Mhm.
day. The promoters can rave about you, but it's also because you're helping bringing them money. But there are very few people, very few promoters like Jorge Elizondo, a very close friend of mine, working with him, but also just having conversations with him and understanding his intent for why he does what he does. Him being key on creating a virtual Dallas Bachata Festival and inviting people and having it for free and just giving back to the community. That means a lot. And something that you
Mhm.
touched on just a few minutes ago was something that I know I had reached out to you about months ago when these talks happened. And what we're talking about actually was months ago, talking with Miss Marietta Villalobos, talking with other artists, other female artists, and realizing the male toxicity or toxic masculinity that goes on in our community, in our dance world. Many people are naive to it. Many people don't get it, don't understand. Maybe they haven't seen it, or maybe they've seen it
Mhm.
but have said nothing. And realizing people like yourself and many others, many of women in particular, have been victims of it, but actually speaking out about it and realizing how unfortunately so many of us have experienced those same moments, and how it really just changes people, changes their outlook on what their community is all about. And like you said, you talked about your experience in LA. I've talked to other females who've had that experience with this person. And it really hurt me because I wish I was one of those people who were there, because many people who know me too, even as a videographer, I'm very observant of my surroundings, especially understanding in our dance scene. When it comes to dance, we love connection, but also you can tell a lot
Mm-hmm.
from someone's body language, and realizing that there are so many moments that especially women feel very uncomfortable when dancing with male leads, especially because the closeness, the uncomfortability, and it really is something that has the light has been shed on it, especially since last year, with people talking about. I mean, I would say his name, and I will, but I mean, if you want to expound on that, you can. But I definitely have something to say about that for sure.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. So it was it was definitely something that I didn't expect. Of course, no one really expects it. And
Mhm,
looking back, sometimes because of course, hindsight is 2020. Some people can think, oh well, there was this one thing this guy did, and that could have been a hint, or something this
mhm,
guy that could have been a hint. And I do that to myself, just that, was there something I missed? But then it doesn't matter. That person did what they did, and they weren't supposed to do that.
mhm,
Um, I just remember after that experience, one feeling very vulnerable because because for those who have not met me, I am 4'11", so I am pretty short.
mhm,
Probably not the shortest dancer out there, but I'm pretty short. And this person was 6+ feet, so there was only so much I can do for my angle, my
mhm,
height. Um, and then, of course, the fact that I tried to, push back and fight back, and of course, not that strong. But I think what also hurt me, not just the fact that this person did what they did and then pretty much, disregard it and just like, oh, that never happened, I don't remember. But
mhm.
even those that I went to let them know, hey, this is going on at your event, like, you know,
Yeah.
something should be done about it. And then I guess maybe because I didn't go to the police, they're like, it was probably your fault anyway. Or at least they didn't say that, but that was the feeling that I got
Yep.
after that. So it was just like, well, what's the point? You know?
Mhm,
And so that was almost a time where I stopped dancing completely because I felt completely broken for a period of time, because it was like this particular person, I looked up to them as a dancer, as someone who did well, and then someone who promoted themselves as like a protector of black women, and then to for them to do this, it was just like, you just behind my back. And then with what happened this past summer, it started off with one anonymous post,
yes.
and they mentioned the name, and I was like, okay. And then two other people actually came public and mentioned his name and their experience. And the dialogue I noticed was, it was a white woman versus black male issue. And that was what really pushed me to be like, you know what, maybe it's time for me to speak out about my story.
Yeah.
Um, because the funny enough was at the beginning of quarantine, I guess around maybe May or June, I guess beginning ish of quarantine,
Mhm,
um, I had this feeling of, you know what, maybe it's time for me to speak speak on this, which I wasn't sure why, but I kind of kept that in the back of my mind. And then this happened, this
mhm,
post, this post, and this post, and I'm like, maybe this is it. And I kind of talked to a couple people, let them know, and I was like, should I do this? And I was like, you know what? There's still some healing I need to do. And if I let this go, at least letting, the public know that this happened, this is the type of person we're dealing with, then I feel like I'm doing a service to someone who may possibly be in this presence and may be at risk. I felt kind of guilty keeping that story in. One, because I was worried about being bashed by other dancers because that's happened before.
Mm.
But then also it was more of a disservice because there were women that have gotten contact with him since what happened to me happened, and they
Yeah.
didn't know, or someone may not have been there to help them. And so that was another reason why I did speak out on my story. And it was like a flood of emotions that, were released. And then I had so much support, which I was, surprised at the amount of support it was. It was
Mm.
amazing. Um, and then I think the toughest part about that was having to tell my too. That was a completely different experience for me because it was like I was worried that they were just be mad in general, but
Yeah.
it was just more like, I'm sorry we weren't there, for you. I'm sorry. It was in that format, and it really touched me. And I think it helped a lot with like some of the other trauma that I've been through, I was younger as well. So it helped with realizing who I was, what kind of situation I have been dealt with in life,
Mm-hmm.
and how I'm healing from that. So it actually started from me speaking my story. It helped continue a healing process had stopped. And
Mm.
that was part that I'm grateful for that. Now I feel like I am more myself, and
Yes.
more myself as in like nothing so much has changed, but it's like I'm more outspoken as far as what's going on in my head and in my remaining tactful because Southern people got to be respectful. At least that's my mentality. But I'm more vocal about what my likes are, what the likes are, and trying to stand up for myself too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hold on. Let me just take you out, put you back in. I think the reception's a little off. All right. I think we should be okay. Are you able to
Mhm.
hear me clearly? Gotcha.
Yes.
Listening to everything you said, and especially me, especially on social media, watching what was happening, realizing in our dance community, there were these moments now that people were speaking up about their experience. Like you said, the original post was by an anonymous person, but it had so much detail that you could close your eyes and visually see what was happening. And then realizing one after another person would come, and now the people that are coming, including yourself, were public figures. And realizing, like you said, at the LA Salsa Bachata Kizomba Festival, I believe that's what it's called, when this incident happened, you saying how the people of this event, you speaking to them, but feeling like it wasn't taken seriously, and that right there was a really harmful action by these people, because I think what the biggest issue, especially when it comes to sexual assault, sexual harassment, the notion is if you didn't go to the police, it might not be that serious. And realizing is that everybody has to understand dealing with trauma, everyone deals with trauma their own way. Everybody's not going to deal with it the same. Everybody internalizes it differently. Um, and many people, I think what happens too, and this is something that I had a conversation with somebody about, and it ties into especially in our dance community. I think we realize, and we've talked about it, the understanding that there is not many people or not many women of color, Black women in our dance scene. It's a limited number. whether people understand it or not, especially in the States. It's slowly growing, but there should be so much more. And also, the topic of what happens is, especially me being biracial, mixed with different races, and especially in my black side of my family, African American side, that notion of protecting our black men and realizing you can only do that so much until you lose yourself. And what I mean by that is the person, I don't know if you want me to say their name publicly, that's up to you. But knowing about what this person did, it hurt me so much because they was looked at as a leader in their community, and they took advantage of that leadership and harmed many people like yourself and others that publicly put out their experience. And then the worst thing is, I would see of comments people saying people were quick to blame the victim before the person who victimized. It's easier to combat the person who is giving their heart and telling about their experience, and people are questioning the validity of those statements because of the timeline. People didn't
Mhm.
respond enough. But again, everybody internalizes their trauma differently. But when you understand that there's a pattern, that right there also lies the problem. Because for me, I'm a big proponent on respect. Even from New York, people know we can be rude and obnoxious at times and just kind of in your face. But for me in the dance community, I've always felt that I had a responsibility to, of course, help others, but also protect others, whether they be male or female, and realizing that sexual assault, sexual harassment does go on. It has gone on for many years, but it was only a few people who spoke about it because they needed to. But then the problem is when they feel that no one will listen, that's where the issue lies, because when they feel no one would listen, why would I say anything? And what really I think happens is many people question what is the solution or what is the result from me speaking? Is it going to help or is it going to harm my image? And for me, over the year, as well as speaking to you, speaking to other artists about their experiences, and realizing this gentleman, he does not need to be in our dance community. And especially seeing a conversation he had on a live months ago was one of the worst things he could have ever did. And I spoke to people about that because as a leader, I think people should take their responsibility and accountability. But also, I have to say, from your perspective, Brianna, I commended you so much because I understand, knowing from other people I know who have been through traumas, that speaking up is one of the hardest things to do because you're allowing everyone to then be involved and engaged in that. But also, I think what you did was so honorable because you realized that people understood and people supported you,
Mhm.
and
It was tough.
yeah, and for me, I'm glad to see is that through your speaking, you found, understanding and realizing that you weren't alone, realizing that other people felt the same way like you, but also people were going to be there to support you. And I think especially with this quarantine time, us not having events like we used to have, I think it was good because it allowed people to take a step back and realize what's really important here. Realizing that people like him, um, man, I just do you mind if I don't know, do you mind me saying his name?
You can say his name if you want to.
Got you. Mr. Manuel del Santos, this gentleman that I've known for a couple years, and hearing what he did was despicable. And me knowing people who knew him, who maybe enabled that or were naive to it. I mean, I've talked about it for a while. And for me, we don't need people like that in our community. And I can say that straight up, whether I am virtual or whether I see the person in person. And realizing people like you that I care deeply about, and many of the artists, I just want to see everyone having fun, being comfortable, and feel protected, feeling like, because we escape our reality from our everyday life to come for 3 or 4 days to a festival to have fun with people that we know. And for me, I think through the conversation and the dialogues that we have and these discussions that we have, it helps open the doors for people to say, enough is enough. I can't just be quiet. I have to speak up about what happens because we realize we're not alone. And
Mhm.
me talking to you about this, I want you to know that no matter what, whenever you or anyone ever feels uncomfortable with a person in our proximity, whether it be at a festival or not, I'm a person you can definitely speak to because for me, I don't take that lightly. Because again, what happens is these moments, you notice is that a lot of people who danced and these moments happen to them, they don't come back, and those things forever change their outlook on their community. And realizing people like you, that really that mental fortitude and strength that you have to speak up and to keep dancing and not allow that moment to deter you away from something that you've loved since you were a young girl. And for me, having you on here means so much because not just as an amazing dancer that I've admired for years, but as an awesome human being that you are. You really are a symbol of strength.
Thank you. It means a lot to hear that because honestly, and I think this myself, even from different things I've gone through in life, is just I take my time to feel how I feel. Then it's like I can't sit down for much longer. Like I can't sit on my ass all day and do nothing. I have to get up and do something. So I just think about what's my next step, honestly. So, but to
No,
hear it as strength and all of that is just it's very humbling for me, and I appreciate you also offering your safety because that's definitely something that we need in the
yeah,
dance community, and also I don't want to say reform, um, evolution. I think
yeah,
ever since the stories have come out, there have been more conversations as far as how do we make our dance scene safer? How do we make it safe for everybody? And I've been part of multiple different conversations from different dance communities, and at least a few even event organizers have talked to me as well. And I just thought, wow, I think this is we're heading in the direction. The
mhm,
true test is once things finally like reopen to its full potential and people are like, I need to dance and see what happens there. So that's going to be the true test to see if any change has been made, or at least if anything has been implemented to try to see if it'll work. So we'll see what happens.
yeah, absolutely. And I think lastly, before we move on, for me, I think the big thing was when it comes to the leaders of our community, we hold them at a higher standard than many others. I think, but in reality, I think we should hold everyone to the same standard because, again, leaders used to be followers at one point. So,
Mm-hmm.
keeping everyone accountable, I think, is the focus. But, like you said, having people like myself that will stand up and be there for people is going to help our community because it shows that we care about one another than just talking about it. You actually have to, perform those actions. You have to be there. You have
Mm-hmm.
to be able to deter a situation from happening. So I definitely feel in the future with these dialogues that we have, it is helping. It's informing other people who maybe have been naive to those situations because they're just wondering about having fun. Now
Mm-hmm.
people can say, okay, we can have fun, but let's observe our environment. Let's understand what's really happening. And I think we can definitely grow from that. So moving on now, realizing kind of your time, especially in Dallas Bachata Festival, working with Lola Monet, um, and I think it was the year after that I believe she had passed. And I found out about it, of course, through social media, but also realizing how many people she has influenced in her community, from her performances, from her collaborations, But overall, from her experiences with others like yourself, when I saw I believe it was last year, the year before, the tribute that was done from from Miss Lola Monet.
2018, yeah.
Yes, 2018. It was so beautiful because to see I wouldn't say all, but a lot of the dancers that she's known, either from California, Dallas, or abroad, realizing how many lives she touched and realizing that it was through dance that we were able to have this individual impact so many lives. And, because what happens is people don't really celebrate people until after they're gone, but realizing she was celebrated for so much of her life and people loved being around her, including yourself and Benga and many
Mm.
others, and to have that tribute was special. But the question I do have is, when this situation happened, what really was kind of going through your mind?
So knew she was going through something back in 2017, in February. Yes,
Mhm,
February of 2017. Because that was actually my last time performing with her because she was dealing with
mhm,
leg pain. And then a couple months later, that was when we found out that she had cancer.
mhm,
Um, and then I think around the same weekend as Dallas Bachata Festival in 2017, that was when she had surgery. So she was still alive, but she, wasn't there.
mhm.
And then, of course, months later, got the diagnosis that she was cancer free and she was doing her event in Denver, Colorado in the summer in June.
Yeah.
So I was able to go there and she actually gave me my first opportunity to teach a workshop, which
Wow.
I'm grateful for her for that. And that was when I performed my first Afro solo to her and I dedicated it to her and to all those people who've influenced me within the African dance scene.
Mhm.
And I remember that particular night, the conversation we had. She was so proud of me and, ready to, study to be an artist and everything. And that was the last time I saw her in the in person conversation we had. There was one other conversation we had after that, was just checking in and see how she was doing, and she wasn't feeling well. And then I remember someone messaged me. It was on 4th of July 2018, asking if Lola had passed. And it really kind of took me for surprise. And I'm like, I don't know what happened. So, of course, after, asking this person, asking that person, it was confirmed. It was interesting because I felt so heartbroken and I wanted to like really release my, but it was like I was hitting an emotional wall. It's like I
Yeah.
wasn't able to. Like I have, crocodile tears, falling here and there, but I couldn't really fully express the hurt I felt because I knew so many other people that were hurting, and I felt to be there for them. I had to be their strength. I know Jay Styles was really close to Lola as well, and he took it pretty hard, and I had to be there for him. Um, Also, kind of collaborating with Benga for the tribute as well, and other people who were really attached to her, attracted to her. It wasn't until the day of Bachata Festival when we had the tribute that kind of rocky. Like I felt stable, but I didn't quite know what it was. But I just remember after the tribute, that was when the flood of emotion came because
Mhm.
I started feeling it. Everyone else started feeling it. And literally after we walked off the stage and walked backstage, it's like, oh. So
Yeah.
I honestly felt like Lola purposefully held me from crying because she wanted to help promote, her life, like this spirit that she had, to for the celebration of her life, because she wouldn't have wanted anyone to cry for her. And that I knew. And ever since passing, and ever since the last conversation we had, anytime I perform now, I always sanity prayer, and I've always since then asked her guidance and also for strength, her energy, and it does not fail. Time after I finish a performance, the small of my back it would be achy, and that was always where it hugged me and touched me. So when I feel that, I know that she's with me, that she was with me during my performance. So
Wow.
it's a lot of emotions. Now it's like, I hate that she's gone, but I'm also glad that she is because she doesn't have to deal with the BS that's going on right now with COVID and all this
Yeah,
other things. But yeah, she, she's definitely a guardian angel in person and now posthumously as well.
absolutely. And again, much love to the late Lola Monet. So now, another question I have is kind of after that, and you now performing as much. What were really, did you kind of feel a difference, or did you notice a difference from kind of your first times around 2014 to about 2018, 2019? Did you kind of get a chance to understand how much you've evolved as a dancer?
I have, I think, especially 2014, I was just the student, the sponge. I'm
Mhm.
like, I want to learn everything. I want to was that student when I was like, I want to dance with like medium to advanced just so I can test myself and know what I need to, work on my, I was very hard on myself when it came to that because I'm so much of a perfectionist. And then my comfort zone with the first solo because that was also coping mechanism from the situation with Manuel dos Santos as well. And then also I realized I had never performed on stage by myself before, so I was kind of, you know, two purge was once, and I was nerve wrack. It was nerve wracking. Like I was like, am I actually going to do this? And I went ahead and did it. And then so many people were like, the fact that you've never done that before and you were scared, but you did it. It really helped me to get out of my comfort zone. So just even from that simple act alone was helping others to reach for their goals. That was what kept me going. And so I was able to really um, continue that with the audience in mind and with the people in mind for performing. And I made the point of I want every performance to be a little bit about myself. So with each performance you see, you know me even more. You know the different facets of my personality. And so far from heard from others, I mean, they're able to get it, feel that energy that I give out because I really do. Anytime when I come up with new choreography, I'm like, okay, if I was in the and I see bachata or I see cha 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 or salsa or whatever, what would I want to see that would make me go, ooh, that's really cool? That's how I actually start my choreography because so many performances that seem like, oh, it's great, but it's like you've already kind of seen it with, two
Yeah.
performances ago, Yamule just somewhere. So I try to do something that's eclectic, but also is diversity and it catches attention. And so it's like, you paid money to see this, I wouldn't want you to see the same cookie cutter routine.
Yeah. No,
And so with that,
definitely.
it helped. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
Um, yeah, and so it really made me evolve in my creativity and even really forced me to dig deep to myself, all the nooks and crannies, the good, bad, the ugly, and the crazy. And it helped me to love myself in
Yes.
all of my stages. That way I can bring that out on stage for others to learn about me as well, especially if people want to get to know me in person so much, they can at least have a chance to do that through the dance that I perform because it's all for them.
Mm. Powerful. I mean, like you said, it's all for them. And realizing what I loved about you as a dancer and still as a dancer is that besides focusing on the crowd, you love to tell a story. And I'm going to tell you that's one of my favorite routines I've seen you in was your solo. I believe it was called the Kali Vibes. That was
Oh, Dick Cali vibes. Yep.
yes, that was one of my favorites. Because you can just see the genuineness in you. You can tell that, of course, you're putting a show on for the crowd, but you are enjoying what you do. And as well, after this interview, I'll be posting a link to that video because I was watching it right before we did this, and it's just like for me, it just had my heart jumping. It just had my heart excited because, again, like, as performers, we've seen so many shows, and it's usually that line of, as famously made by Janet Jackson, "What have you done for me lately?" So realizing all the routines we see, they can all look the same at some point. So realizing that we have artists like you that have a specific intention, and what you want to do is give some diversity with each choreography or piece that you bring to the stage. And I truly respect it and love it. And as well, in 2019, um, that was really the last Dallas Bachata Festival that we saw each other. And for me, I could say out of everyone, and I'm going to be totally honest, besides George, um, I've gotten to meet so many people in Dallas, but you specifically are like one of my favorite people, not just dancers. Because it's just I always believe there's certain people that come into your life for specific reasons. And again, that embrace that you've showed me over the past few years that I've been in Dallas, to you, to me, and to my wife as well, that comes. I could be nothing more but thankful because, again, we realize in this type of industry we're in, we're kind of in and out. We're kind of performing, we go party, we go to sleep, we do the same thing all over again. So, actually creating friendships and bonds with people, for me, that's what it's really all about. Of course, the work is going to get done. As a
Hmm.
videographer, you've seen me going around places. You've seen me. I think last year I literally was up 36 hours filming and editing, and you would see me in the artist room. And I remember even you and other people like, "You didn't go to sleep?" And I'm like, "No, I need to get this work
Yeah,
done, and then I go to sleep." But even
you were
something
working your butt off, and you put in a lot of work in what you do, and it shows with
it's
your videography and everything. So yeah, it's amazing.
no, I appreciate it because also I learned from other videographers, but for me, as a dancer, as a performer at one point, I know what we want to see, but I also want to tell a story within the visuals I create. Me taking those long hours of filming and editing and producing and showing stuff for you, showing you the work I'm creating as I'm creating it, I want you to be involved with it just as much as I am. So for me, I'm definitely hoping in the future, when things get back to normal, we can have events safely. I'll definitely be at the Dallas Bachata Festival, hanging out with you and many others. And at least before we do get into our last segment, which is called the randoms. A question I have is now, kind of presently, or even during COVID and also presently. This is a question I ask many artists that I know. What do you feel is really the future for the dance scene, maybe in the Texas area as a whole, or for the dance industry in general?
I think this answer could actually encompass both. I think a little bit more unity within the communities, just because um, although there are some people that are still going out dancing, there's a lot of people that aren't going to take it for granted. So I think there's going to be a decrease in, I guess, kind of like the beefiness that can happen dancing. That may be short lived, as anyone can hope.
Mhm.
Um, and then one thing I honestly believe is going to be something that's really important for us is evolution and more diversity,
Mhm.
because people have to. We've had this time really, and with some instructors, they've had to learn how to utilize Zoom and StreamYard how can
Mhm.
they up their and dance because of that there's going to be a new sense of tenacity and resilience, but also having to um, and be as cookie cutter.
Mm. I definitely see that. And don't know if you had tuned out. Let me check. Put it back in. Let's see. I think we should be good. Hey, are you here?
Yeah, I think. Oh yeah, still here, still good. I think internet for me has been kind of an interesting situation. Sometimes it's to work, and other times when I need it to work, it's like, oh,
It's
oh
all good.
well.
It's all
So,
good. It happens. But realizing, like you said, evolution, I mean, with diversity, the less of the beefiness, I think as well for me, I would say if I could answer that, I definitely agree with those sentiments, especially with acceptance. Because for me, I want to see more Black women in our dance industries performing bachata, salsa, everything. I want to see more inclusion in terms of body image, not just focused on having the ideal body size, how women should look. Um,
mhm.
I think also the inclusivity of more of the LGBTQ plus community because these people are out there and they're not, I feel, are not getting enough representation in
I
our dance
agree.
community. Yeah. So for me as well, I just want to see inclusivity with everyone instead of just being exclusive. So I'm loving especially what you've been talking about because it's really informative. And now I think we can have some kind of levity, some fun, being able to talk with you this past hour and understanding your journey from your trials and tribulations, from your early on experiences to the people that have come in and out of your life and kind of laid lessons into you. I think seeing here an image of a woman who understands herself and has, even though been through many different situations, you've been able to overcome. So now I think it's a perfect time in our closing segment called the randoms, which is about 10 questions that allows myself and the audience to get to know you a little bit better. We'll definitely get to see some maybe some things that Brianna likes and things Brianna doesn't like. So this should be very interesting. So all I need to know is when you are ready.
I'm ready now.
All right, perfect. Favorite food?
Sushi.
Okay. What kind of sushi? California roll, avocado roll?
I like the salmon roll, sometimes spicy salmon. I also
Oh,
like shrimp tempura as well. So those are my go-to. I will knock out a California roll here and there too, but the
all right.
salmon roll and the shrimp tempura are my favorites.
All right. I like that. Awesome. Next question is if you could be at a Congress right now and you had only one song to dance to, what would it be?
Ooh, I'd have to say, um, gosh, what's the name of that artist? Anything by Ray Barretto. I actually connect
Hmm.
with his music a lot.
All right, I like that. I like that, and love Ray Barretto's music a lot. Next question
Hmm.
would be, what would be your dream vacation destination?
Tahiti.
Wow, for I think that's like out of almost 80 plus episodes, I think that's like the first time I've ever heard Tahiti. Maybe if I may be wrong, but yeah, I've definitely seen photos of Tahiti on Google Images. That is a beautiful place,
Mm,
definitely.
yeah, yeah.
All right, next question. What did you want to be at 10 years old?
Professional ballerina.
Yes, because as like you said, you've had previous work with the Russian ballet from Moscow
Hmm.
when they came into Texas. All right. Next question would be, what would be your spirit animal?
Ooh, that's a hard one. I think my spirit animal would be, mm, wait a minute, I gotta be quick. I'm gonna go ahead and say eagle,
Okay.
just because I feel like they're very majestic, protective, and just kind of, they kind of stick to the background. I'm Because when I'm not performing, I'm kind of like more of a wallflower. So it's like
Mhm.
if I don't ask for attention, don't look at me unless you're coming to me for something. It's really weird. It's like, yay, I'm dancing, and then when I go off stage, it's like, okay, I'm not here. Like,
Wow. And
yeah.
as a side note, know what you're talking about because there's been times you see me walking around with the camera, and I'm so assuming that you'd be dancing all over the place. But I notice you're much more of a people watcher. You watch people, and I get it. I do the same thing. It's usually my job to do that. But I mean, I definitely appreciate it. But I know for a fact there's been times I put my camera down so I could dance with you because there's certain people that, hey, I know I'm working, work gotta wait right now. There's certain people I need to, have these experiences with. All right.
Mhm.
So next question. You might already have said the answer, not sure, but what is your number one event to go to? It could be a social, congress, festival, weekender, you name it.
Let's see. I've been to so many amazing festivals, and events. I will have to say the number one event is Dallas Bachata Festival.
Mm. And if you can, and I probably know the answer why, but can you give the people an understanding of why that specific event would be your favorite?
I can see the love and attention that George and his team puts into the festival. I can see the level of professionalism within the dance scene, from like the instructors and the volunteers, the DJs. I
Mm,
feel like I have met more long lasting friends at the Dallas Bachata Festival than any other festival there. And just because that sense of community. And then also, so many interesting things have happened to me. And it's like every year, and it doesn't fail. And I don't know if George will remember this. He and I would end up in the elevator just by ourselves, and we have like a very interesting conversation, or something would happen. And so it's like, it's always a festival that something is remarkable about it. And so it's like, that's number one for me. But yeah, the top thing is definitely the love and the care that him and his family and his team put into the festival.
absolutely. I would even say the hospitality. Southern hospitality is a real thing. I definitely learned it there from going there, but also going to New Orleans. People from
Hmm.
the South, they take care of their people. They take care of their family, and realizing, especially with George, just as much as he cares about the attendees, he puts that much love and appreciation and attention to the artists, giving them simple things as an artist room for 24/7 that you can escape all the crazy and hecticness, go into a room with people that are doing the same thing like you and just kind of step away. Simple things like that, and really being attentive to these performers and these acts because it's not just about what they can provide for you at that moment, but it's building the relationship so they can come for future events and feel comfortable. So I definitely agree, not just because I work for the event, but even as just an attendee, as a spectator. All right, next
Hmm.
question would be, what would be your superpower?
Mind reader.
Hey, I mean, that's good, but that can also be a little bit bad if you had a Congress and you got tons of people around. And yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely I understand why.
Hmm.
And all right, next question. Can you name three people that have been most influential to you at this point in your life? And they can be family related or also dance related.
So I would say my mother, um, Lola Monet, for sure. I've talked about her so much tonight. Um, Gosh, a third person. Third person. I would have to say my paternal grandmother, because she and I we have a spiritual connection as well. She's still alive with me today. It's just we have a special connection between her and I. So I would say my mom, Lola Monet, and my paternal grandmother.
Yes, the power of women. That's definitely, I love that. And next question would be, second to last question, what is a special talent that you would have or that you have
That
currently? I mean,
I have currently. They're kind of weird. um, one of them is I can wiggle my ears, and
okay.
another one is I can pick up things with my feet.
I mean, I mean, if it's needed to happen, you need to pick something up with your feet. I'd rather be you than kind of just like waiting. I mean, you got to get the job done. If things could get done from the ground up, so be it.
Right? And I'm closer to the ground too, so it's so
Um,
much easier for me.
but I'll tell you this: even though, like you say, you are short at 4'11", your presence definitely reigns over 6 feet, in my opinion. Especially when I see you at Dallas, and people are just coming up to you, talking to you, and you just have a very calming presence, but a presence of you know who you are, and you just want to have see people and have fun and see people have fun. All right, so now it brings me to my last question of this segment. I love asking this one. Let's see. All right. If you're on an island, and I'll give you it, Tahiti. If you're on an island in Tahiti, but there is no Wi-Fi, what are three things that you would have with you at that moment?
book, book to read, Sudoku puzzles. Another one would be a boombox. So then I can at least, try to listen to music, listen to radio, to dance. So yeah, those would be my three things.
Awesome, awesome, and as well, at least we finished this out. But big shout out to Benga, saying that she is off the chain. Let's go, Benga, my brother. And again, Brianna, thank you so much for doing this segment. I definitely feel like I've learned a lot more about you, especially the part of the wiggling your ears and you can pick things up with your feet. That definitely, those things can come in handy for sure. Little example there. And yeah, I mean, I would say now it brings us to the conclusion of our discussion. And for me, I can definitely say from about 2 to 3 years that I've known you. Actually, now since I came in 2017, it's going on four,
Hmm.
basically. For me, I would say you have been one of the most impactful people in my dance career. And this is really going back to 96. And the reason I say this is because, as we know in this industry, like I've said, people just come in and out. People are more kind of focused on them and just performing, partying with their people, and kind of it's a revolving door. Just if you're lucky enough, you get to have a conversation with certain people. And for you, since I came to Dallas, you were honestly the first person that really welcomed me and embraced me, and it means a lot because even though I'm coming for work, for me, I think it's important creating relationships and bonds with people because then also as a filmmaker, I love that I can showcase your genuineness through film. I can show people through a video the person that you know is the person that I'm showing here. There really isn't a facade. She's the same person in and out. And realizing how you started your journey throughout the years, the trials and tribulations you've been through, but realizing those have helped you grow and helped you evolve into the woman that you are now, as well as during this quarantine year, you putting out these visuals, I believe in May, kind of dedicated to dance. And honestly, I'm not going to lie to you, there were definitely many days that I was just like, I don't know what to do. And I would actually look at your videos and just get inspired and seeing someone who is not going to allow what's ever happening around them to dictate how they're going to live their life. Um, so for me, just realizing everything you've been through and seeing how you are now, I'm definitely thankful that a person like yourself is around in our community. Mr. Benga says here, true that, alternated family ideology. And he also says, her heart is ferocious, an ultimate gem. That right
Oh,
there, I think, is the key words, an ultimate gem. And then you're someone for me, I can say for my over 24, 25 years of dancing, you are a person that I'm thankful our community has, whether you're in Texas or wherever. There's just certain people that I think are needed and put there for a reason. Just like Benga, the late Lola, and many others that you've met and you've had those experiences. I think people like you came into my life because it showed that, hey, this isn't just about dancing and partying. There are actually people here who are just genuine and nice people and just care for others. So, being able to talk to you tonight was amazing. And like I tell many of my guests, I feel like this is a part one because I would love to have you on in the future and we can really go in depth of what it's like to be out of Congress because I think that would be awesome to have a nice panel or have another discussion like we're having with artists or such as yourself and talk about those Congress life experiences for people who don't know what it's like or people who've been there and kind of just want to reminisce, go down memory lane on really some of the great times that we've had. But at least before we do go, I would love to know if you had any last few words for myself or the audience.
thank you so much. I would definitely be down to come back again, whether it's a panel or a part two or whatever. The last words I would say is that's I think it's really important nowadays is allow yourself to feel how whatever and however you're feeling because you can't bottle those negative emotions in. That's I think especially with the mental health, that's one thing that I stress to everyone. Allow yourself to feel, allow yourself to discharge, and then use that and strengthen yourself to get back up and move forward. So that's the one thing that's helped me through the times, the bad times, and it can help you too. And I'm here for support however way I can.
Absolutely. I'm definitely here for support as well for you and many other dancers that need it. Because again, we realized definitely during this quarantine period that many of the people we admire on stage also are very vulnerable mentally. And understanding that for them, dancing is their life. Going to congresses was their passion. And that being taken away for some time, it really changed people's outlook. But realizing a person like yourself was able to persevere through adversity, I'm definitely thankful for people like you. Definitely can't wait to see you hopefully in the future when things are safer. And again, I thank you. I thank the audience for tuning in and people that will be watching in the future because I believe, honestly, Brianna is one of the really just amazing, amazing dancers, but amazing people that the Texas dance community has. So again, Brianna, I thank you. I thank everyone tuning in on Facebook, YouTube, through buckshottheradio.com and other streaming platforms as well. You'll be able to catch this interview as well on Spotify in the upcoming days. So again, Brianna, I thank you so much. I thank everyone for tuning in. And please, everyone, stay safe.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.